Hi everybody, and a very warm welcome back to my wildlife art channel. Now today's video is a conclusion to the stream that I actually did the other day. So let's roll the intro and let's see how that lamb turned out. Hi everybody, and a very warm welcome back. And as I said just now, this video is the concluding part to the stream all about painting that springtime lamb in acrylics the other day. And people asked, would I actually film the full ending of this? That's what I've done. But it has gone on quite a while, and many of the steps that I've done within it are quite repetitive. So what I've done is edited it down. I'm not quite sure at this point how short it will be, but I've edited it down and there's lots of narration going through it. But hopefully if you watch that stream, then you'll enjoy the concluding part to this and get to the end and see the final outcome of that painting. And if you haven't seen the stream and you have a couple of hours to spare, sit down with a nice cup of tea, enjoy the stream, and then come back and look at this concluding part so that it has a continuity and makes sense to you. So without further ado, let's get back into that lamb. That didn't sound too good, did it? I hope you know what I mean. Catch you all at the other end. Okay everybody, welcome back. Basically, I was asked would I consider filming the remaining part of this picture that I started and filmed as a stream recently, so I decided to do that. Now first and foremost, I'm just going to go back in and change a couple of things. Well, certainly one thing, and this is the part that I'm going to change. Now I know traditionally lambs, when they're born, they have these little bands put upon them and to take the tail away at some point in its young life. And although we know that to be the case, I felt that it would be better if I didn't actually portray that. So it's just a nicer thing not to have that in. So we're going to leave our little lamb with his tail intact. Okay, so what I'm doing now is just going over with some tentative marks. Some of them are quite light over and around the head and the eyebrows and places like that. But I'm also putting in a few darker mid-tone colours around the ears now and other parts of the body. The idea is to literally add a bit more depth so that I can go back in later on and add some highlights. And then it looks as though you've got depth to the wool. They are like little nuggets of roundels of wool, and that's what I'm trying to convey in this section. But we will go back in and lighten some of these up for sure. And maybe just one or two taps up here. It's all an illusion, isn't it? It's all about creating that lovely illusion of depth, because it's a dark color on a light color at the end of the day. But if I do it right and then tap the right lights on top of it, then it does suggest that we've got this bobbly fur that you can see down through, and you see the sort of shadowy areas underneath the top layer of the wool, not fur. I'm sorry, I keep saying it. I'm so used to saying or painting animals with fur, I just naturally say fur. But you all know what I mean. At least I hope you do. I'm sure you do. I'm just going to gently brush a little bit of information down there, just to darken that side of that tail up. And I'm aware that I don't want to get too contrast. It's starting to look a little bit yin-yang. And I want to get rid of some of that. I'm going to clean the brush. And I'm going to come in with some lighter colours as I was doing just now. Maybe a little bit of yellow ochre, Naples yellow into that. And I'm just going to start lightening up some of the areas I've just been darkening off. So having already gone in to add some darker midtones to the animal's wool, what I'm now doing is starting to lighten some of those up. What you're seeing are lighter values, not necessarily white, but they are certainly lighter values than the colors or the values of color underneath. And when that's done, hopefully it looks like there is depth that you can see down between those little areas of wool, and you can, where they're sort of catching the light on top, and then you can see down between them and see the darker recesses. It all adds to the sort of feeling of reality. Now I'm coming down into some of those legs, and the wool there is a lot sort of fluffier and longer, and yeah, it's just weird the way it looks on the legs of the lamb. It sort of goes in all different directions. Just a little bit of rim lighting around the edge of the throat there, catching a little bit of light, and also separating it from the background, which is quite important. Now the face I felt was just a little bit too contrasty too, and I am just coming back in and creating less of an impact between lights and darks, and I'm doing that over the whole of the body before I continue on. Just gently glazing over some of these just to lessen the impact of the dark at this point as it comes down and meets this part here. You see this on a lot of animals where, you know, you've got the eye sockets and they look quite deep, and then it gives way to here at the bridge of where the nut coming down the nut towards the nose, as it were, just shallows out a little bit. So I'm pretty much carrying on as I was just now by adding these lighter marks and lessening the contrast. But I'm also taking the opportunity just to make sure that the shape of the head is where I want it, the contours of the mouth, the size of the jaw, as it were, and adding a little bit of dark in around the nose and the mouth as well. So an attempt to use some of this paint up, to be fair. I'm coming in with some of that lovely cobalt turquoise, and I need to use a bigger brush to get this job done fairly fast, because it's not going to be just one layer. I do need to make several passes, but the first one's going to be fairly dark, bit of green, a little bit of red to knock the green out a little bit, but you can see it's quite a dark area overall. So what I'm doing now is just literally obliterating the remaining greys of the foreground and the background color. I'm putting a base layer of various greens, some tinted with reds to temper the green, others a little bit more green. Now it's very thin, very wishy-washy, and it will dry pretty fast, and the idea of that is just to literally as a bit of a block in. And already you can see I'm adding different greens to the whole of the foreground area and just above or beyond where the lamb is standing. The degrees of greens are cooler, lighter, some have got a bit more yellow in, some have got more blue in, and I'm coming in now with a bit of green and diazine purple. So that's sap green, diazine purple, just to give me a darker shadowy green. And what you can see clearly here is that I'm actually adding green streaks in. Now they could be shadows from other objects, but they're ideal to put in and create lead-in lines for the viewer who are watching or looking at your picture in the future. They're directional lines, very, very divisive and very, very good to make people move up the canvas to your main subject area and the place that you really want them to watch and look at your painting first. Alright, I'm going to let that dry, and while I'm doing that I'm just going to take a little closer look at playing around with the eye. Now there isn't a lot of information that I can put in, but there is a very tiny amount. So what I'm going to try and do is I'm going to look at the light in the eye, and I'm going to put a little bit of sort of pale blue violet in there, maybe a little bit of yellow into that blue. Take the worst of it off, because all I want to do is suggest. So what I have been doing and am doing is paying a lot of attention to the detail in the eye. Little bits of light here and there, not too much, just enough to lift off the dark and also delineate the pupil. I'm also adding in those little white eyelashes very, very carefully, and also checking the shape of the eye and the darts coming down into the tear duct. All of these details take time. It's not a rush job, but well worth taking the trouble. Now what I'm doing now is coming in for the final part of the foreground, adding some lighter grasses, using the rigger to do this. And it's a lot easier with the rigger. You can control the marks that you make more easily. But at the same time, think about grasses, how they naturally break away. Some of them are dead, some of them are laying across, squashed down. All these little bits of information that create the realism that you seek in when you're painting anything, but certainly when you're painting grasses. Don't forget one or two of them coming across the leg so that it looks as though they are in front of it, and they place the lamb firmly on the earth, firmly in the field, and it all adds to the finish effect that you're seeking. Getting a little bit tired of making these little lines, and when you do that you start getting a bit careless like there, and it's recoverable, but you know, I set out with an intent here, and by the time I got to here I should be taking a little break because my eyes are getting tired and I'm sort of making silly splodgy mistakes, and they're not consistent with the marks that I'm making here. So if that you find you're doing that, then just take a break, walk around your room, go and have a cuppa, come back and carry on the task that you started with, and you'll be glad you're doing it. I'm not, because I've got to get this finished within a reasonable time so that you can watch it without falling asleep. And if you have fallen asleep, wake up. But there you go. So I think we're pretty much done, like vignetting again like I did here, and I'm going to make a slightly lighter yellower oatmeal-y colour now, and I'm going to come in with a few stronger marks that are suggestive of bits of the grass that we've just done that are now catching a little more light. They become a little more prominent as a result of that. Maybe a little bit of dead thatch that's laying on the top of the grass. Who knows what it is? Doesn't really matter. Put a few bits up through the back here too. Bits of weed, just you know how weeds are, dry bits of old grasses are, sort of little seed heads, all sorts of little bits of information that make the whole finish of this quite convincing. Okay, I think we are pretty much done. You can continue the job that I'm doing for as long as you want to, and to the point where you think, yeah, that's okay, I've done that, don't need to do any more. I'm going to get to that stage now because I do need to complete this, and I'm really quite happy with the outcome. Okay, I think I'm done. I'm happy with it. I like the looseness up here. This has not been touched since I did it on the stream, and I like the immediacy of that paint and the brush marks in there, so I'm going to leave that alone. And equally this, I did add an extra layer to this, but even so I like what it is, and this is the main essence. And of course we just got this as a finish to allow you to know that the animal is standing on the earth, as it were. I'm going to come in with a little signature just down here out the way. A little lighter than that will be good. Okay everybody, I hope you enjoyed that. I had a lot of fun painting the concluding part to this lamp, and from somebody who was watching the stream had the idea to suggest to me would I film the conclusion. I'm really glad you did. I really had a lot of fun doing this, and I know it was severely edited, but many of the painting marks that I made were quite repetitive, so I think even though it was edited and you didn't see every brush mark, you would have got enough from it, especially if you were painting along with me on the stream night, and you can now use this to get to the end of your work as well. As I say, I had a lot of fun with it, and if you have watched the stream and enjoyed this, that's fantastic. Don't forget to give the old channel a thumbs up and a like and all those things. And if you're not subscribed to me, please consider subscribing to the channel. Doesn't cost you anything, really does help me out. Now the next stream will be either this coming Sunday or week Sunday. I'm still working on it, but look out on my channel for the advert and the thumbnail for an upcoming stream. I love to have your company with that, and we'll see how we get on. Not sure what it's going to be yet. Possibly a watercolor, I'm thinking on that, but I look forward to your company extremely soon, or very soon, but I look forward to it. Take care everybody, stay safe, enjoy painting this lamb. Catch you all very, very soon. Bye bye.